Hey everyone, Dave here. It's getting to be spring, getting the mower out to maybe do the first cut of the season, looking it over, and I never really liked the way the electronic deck would raise and lower. It's like one side would lift up before the other, and it made a little noise when it got to its full throw, either totally up or totally down. It would make kind of a ratcheting sound. So I thought I'd take a look at it, investigate it a little bit. So I got the tractor up in the air, took the wheel off to look around in here and see how this thing works. And this is the mechanism here that raises and lowers the deck. And it uses this arm that swings, raising it up and down. So I'm directing my attention towards that. That's on the left side. And when I went over to the right side, now I've got the tractor lifted up, I've got the deck lifted up, so there's no weight. The weight of this deck is not hanging on this. And I got to this side, snooping around, and I got this. This thing is, something's not right here. The other side is tight and firm. This side's got all kinds of slop in it. So in order to gain access to this thing, to see how it all works, I've got to take the fenders and running boards off. And let me show you the fasteners required for that. Okay, to gain access to the mechanism that raises and lowers the deck, which is right in underneath that area right here. So the rear fenders and running boards, I believe, all come off in one piece, and I got a little bit of a head start. Let me let you know the fasteners to get this off are these. We've got 2 bolts over here, 1, 2, and the plate comes off. You've got a bolt here that you need to remove. There is a bolt under this rubber footwell. And it's the same on the other side. There's a bolt here you take off. There are 2 bolts here. Can you see? 1, 2. Another bolt under the rubber footwell mat. And the forward and reverse levers come off just by 2 bolts, one here and one here. And then I've got 4 bolts to take this seat off. Got one here, another one right here. Then I move the seat all the way forward and it will access another bolt here and another bolt here. So this seat has to come off. The gas cap comes off. The handle for the height of the mower deck has to come off. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 on the other side. And then let's see if this whole thing will come off in one piece. Hopefully we'll get access to whatever's not working correctly under there. Okay, so I disconnected the rocker switch. And let's see if this thing won't come off. Come on. There we go. Okay, now we'll get our first glimpse of that whole mechanism. Okay, so here's my first glimpse at this thing. Now I get a good look at it. We've got this arm here. And this arm over here that had all kinds of slop clay in it. And what it looks like, I have here, I've got this plastic spacer that clips on. And over here, I'm missing this spacer, which is allowing this thing to slop all over the place. So there should be a spacer right here, just like this one right here. So I maybe have to figure something out with that. Here's the electric motor, electric cylinder. So let me see if I can fabricate some kind of a spacer here that'll work. Okay, so let's get a closer look at this left side, which is in place properly, and let's see what it looks like. It looks like we have the arm, a spacer, which I think we're missing on the other side, and then we have a washer, and then we have kind of a bushing with 8 facets on it, or 6 facets, and it kind of locks in so the bushing will not spin. We got a bushing, a washer, a spacer. Let's go look at the other side. Okay, here we are on the other side, and it looks like we have, there's the bushing. The bushing can slide in, the washer, and we're just missing a spacer. Okay, and here's the right side with all the slop in it. Looks like we have our spacer, bushing. We'll slide it in here, put it in place. We'll put the washer up against it when it's in place, and we're just missing the spacer to keep it all aligned. So all in all, that's pretty good. And so now I gotta see if I can fashion some kind of a spacer in here. So let's see what we can come up with there. Okay, so here's my plan for addressing this problem. Looks like this little plastic spacer that fits in like that and stops it from moving in, and another one on the other side keeps it in position. This thing, rather flimsy. The other side probably just broke. It's plastic. I took some PEX pipe and cut it into this shape, and now I'm going to snap it on there like that, and then I'm going to put another one on the other side. So let's see how that works. Okay, so here's my solution. I fashioned 2 of these from PEX. They snap into place. They don't come off very easily. It stops the side-by-side play and keeps this whole shaft in position. So now I'm going to turn it on and electrically lower and raise the deck and watch it in action. Okay, so here I've got my spacer on each side, and so now everything is firm in here. There's no slop anywhere. Got the battery turn, or the key turned on, so we're going to lift this thing and see how it works. That was a noise I used to hear. I think that's normal now. When it gets to the end of the throw. Alright, I think I'm in good shape. This is all set. And I think what happened was the cheap little plastic spacers, one broke and allowed this whole side just to kind of flop around, and then there was all kinds of play, so this end of the deck probably lifted up not at the same time as the other side. And I don't know that you can access those spacers without taking the whole fenders and running boards off, but we'll put it all back together again and see if you can actually access that spacer or even see it without having to do all this. But I wanted to see how this thing worked inside. Now I kind of know. Everything seems to be okay, and the only issue was a broken plastic spacer, which I put some PEX pipe, cut it to the right length, sliced it, snapped it on, and that's what I'm going with. Okay, I'm getting everything back together again, and before I put the tires on, I wanted to kind of look under here, and actually you can see this is where that spacer goes, right here. So if you got a lot of slop and play on this part, you can check and make sure your plastic spacer is in there. If you got a lot of play, if you can push it in and out or up and down, then you might be able to just sneak a spacer in there without disassembling the whole thing like I did. But that's something to look for if your electronic lift for the deck has got some slop and some play in it. Alright, so there we are. We've got the electric deck up and down motion corrected. It was a little sloppy. One side was going up before the other, and it just didn't look right from the beginning. And all it was a couple of spacers on that lift shaft. One plastic one probably broke off. I fashioned a couple out of some PEX tubing, and that took up the slack. Everything's nice and firm and tight and working fine for about $5 fix. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please, if you did, subscribe, and until next time, thanks for watching.